Well, good morning to you on this Thursday morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion, and we have officially kicked off earnings season. We really kicked it off yesterday, and obviously we look over at some of those financials and how they were moving, and they were moving in different directions, despite the fact that some of the numbers were impressive across the board, really, with Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all reporting and all crushing numbers. But there's some stuff in between there as we look through it, and Jamie Dimon was pointing out loan demand and so forth, but we've got an improving economy. The yield curve has been very helpful, and so we understand all of that. I think what we oftentimes do over the last many years now is look at the book value of financials. You know, a lot of different parts of the economy and different sectors and so forth, we're talking about PEs, and we do that obviously with the financials, but oftentimes it's where is it priced versus book. And when you look at some of these names, you can kind of understand it. Goldman Sachs was relatively cheap if you look at that particular thing. But you look over JP Morgan, looks a little expensive. Well, Goldman Sachs moved to the upside. Wells Fargo moved to the upside. Meanwhile, we saw JP Morgan actually pulling back a little bit yesterday. So the leadership really yesterday, it was focused right on energy. You take a look and you see the price of crude going up and through that 63 number. It's why we had a move of more than 3% towards the highs of the day for energy. It was FANG. It was across the board. Oxy. It was Apache, or the old Apache. Schlumberger, Devon. All of those big beta names really moving to the upside yesterday for energy. We also had financials moved up about 1%. We had materials moving up about 1%. You had Freeport moving very nicely. You had CF moving very nicely. Dow was moving nicely to the upside. So all of that participating. Now, you look over at the NASDAQ, however, you had a little bit of pressure on technology yesterday, actually closing down about 1% or so. And when you look at the moves at the very end, the last 2 hours of the day, and we were just talking about this before we came on here, the last 2 hours of the day with the Dow, well, we're back in that routine. We were up about 200 points or thereabouts, and then we finished the day up about 55 points yesterday. When you look over and you see a little bit of a slip from the NASDAQ had been slipping throughout the session and actually finished down about 1% or 138 points yesterday. So volatility still 16 to 17, somewhere within that range. We are in a very, very tight, very constricted sort of an area right now when it comes to volatility. Where we're not constricted is volumes. Volumes, once again, we had a big day yesterday. Matter of fact, one of the bigger days in a while. 37 million contracts trading yesterday in the derivatives market. So we were seeing nothing but activity, one after the other, all throughout the session yesterday. And that was pretty impressive. And it continues to be very impressive. We were in the low 30s. Now here we are pushing towards the upper 30 million as far as the actual contracts trading. And that's pretty daggone impressive. So we're getting some of that volume back up to some of that higher level volume that we have seen. So pre-market today. We got more earnings. Yep, we've got that. Focus yesterday. A lot of people were talking about Coinbase. That certainly got a lot of attention yesterday, and a lot of folks moving around. That was a monstrous. The IPO, as they went with the direct listing and all, just so many storylines there. But when you take a look at where the absolute highs were to where it actually closed out, it makes you scratch your head a little bit and just say, you know what? Sometimes you just got to sit back, take a little bit of a breath, and take a look and see how is this going to play out. And monstrous when you look at where the market cap is for Coinbase. Now, today, early on, pre-market, yes, earnings season's kicked off. So we've got the Dow, it's up about 175 points. We had the NASDAQ up about 120. Then we open, we get up, we're up over 200 plus points on the Dow. We're up about 140 points on the NASDAQ. We keep on sort of steadily climbing. Last I looked, we were looking at the NASDAQ up close to 150. And we were also looking at the Dow up about 250. And a lot of that really tech related. Flip the whole book from yesterday. So technology, it's Apple, Microsoft, Salesforce, those kind of names. Healthcare, absolutely ripping to the upside as well. United Health being one of the leaders. We also had Merck, J&J, you have Regeneron in the biotech world also pitching in, and the semiconductors. NVIDIA has been on fire. And that really started when NVIDIA talked about going after the CPUs, Intel, AMD, and all the rest of that. Well, it's been on a really, really nice push to the upside. Xilinx working out pretty well. Also, you got some weakness, though, in financials and energy. And where did we have some of the strength yesterday? Yep, you know what I'm talking about. So a little bit of weakness there, and that's when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit, because the rest of the market seems to be looking very good. So got two unusuals for you right now, and then I got a zip because we've got the halftime report coming up at noon Eastern time, and looking forward to that and joining Scott Wapner and the gang for that. So snap, first one, SNAP, snap. 63.85 is where the stock was trading. That actually started much lower than that, but as this trade started to come in, market started to move to the upside. So buyer of 3,200 of the April 63 calls, they started out at about 57 cents, went all the way up to about $1.50. Now, that being said, keep an eye on something like this, because two things. One, I said April, and these are the April 63s. What does that mean? It means regular expiring April. That's tomorrow. That is the third Friday. So understand, this is a very, very short term looking to see, is the stock going to be able to continue this powerful move to the upside and move and continue to move? That's something that's going to have to play out in front of us. As I say, though, 63.85 is where the stock was. So that's 85 cents in the money already. So there's not a whole lot of premium in those options, if you understand what I'm talking about there. If you're not, you're going to want to talk to the Market Rebellion team, because they can tell you exactly what I'm talking about and break down the derivatives and everything about the pricing and all that. Uber is number two. UBER, Uber. We've had this on many, many occasions over the last few months, but Uber trading about 60 and a quarter, right around in that range, a buyer of 4,200. These guys went out in time a little bit. They went out to May 7th expiring, the 70 calls. Now, as I said, stock was trading 60 and a quarter, looking for a pretty substantial move to the upside in a fairly short period of time. They do have some time, though, going to that first expiration cycle of May 7th out there in May. So 57 cents all the way up to about 68 cents. Again, these are about $10 out of the money. Just keep all of that in mind so you have a better understanding. I'm going to have a lot more unusual option activity when I get onto the halftime report today. Looking forward to that. We're going to be breaking down a lot of different things, especially what's been going on with the banks and retail. And retail, as we've been talking about for a really long time, boy, the strength there has been incredible. Take a look at Target. Take a look at the unusual we've talked about in names like Walmart and Gap stores and Abercrombie and Fitch and all of the various names. We have had an incredible amount of activity there, and they've actually been working out very, very nicely. So we're very proud about the team and how they've been able to find some of this activity that we're seeing out there and some of the results that have come from that as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. I'll see you at noon.